Hi, everyone. So last night I was listening to a conversation between Joe Rogan and Dean Radin. Now, Rogan is not somebody who interviews anybody. He only interviews people that are right out there in the public domain and are doing things which are really exciting. And Dean Radin is a PhD. He's a scientist. He works in the Noetic Association. He's worked for the American Army, doing research around remote viewing, for example. Remote viewing is somebody sitting in America looking into the depths of the Russian Army's secrets and looking at buildings and identifying the buildings and saying what the building looks like, which is useful for the American Army. So he did research around remote viewing, and they came out with some astonishing stuff. So Dean Radin has always been interested in the edge, in those kinds of research areas that nobody else wants to go to because often there's no money in it. And often it's scary areas because it's difficult to do the research, and a lot of people just dismiss anything to do with telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, all these kinds of things which seem a little bit strange, and nobody really wants to do that kind of research because why? Maybe it's true. Maybe we are much more insightful than we think, or people even want to think. Because if it's true that telepathy is real, for example, then what does it mean? And where can we go with it? We can read other people's minds. We can influence other people. Nobody wants to do that kind of research because it's too scary. It's a little bit like AI. Where's AI going to go to next? But that's a little bit more acceptable, which is interesting that AI is acceptable, but the fact that human beings have abilities which are trancy, which are imagine we can read other people's thoughts. Of course, we all know that we have these abilities a little bit. I mean, we all talk about gut feeling, for example. Hey, we all have intuitive insights, don't we? Mothers can tell when something's going on with their child, even when their child is a distance away. Is that not common? Is that not well known? So do we really have to do even research around it? Of course, the whole purpose of research is that somehow, through identifying how this actually works, that we can start to use it in a more creative way. Of course, the research has, in a way, been done already. It's been done for thousands of years. I mean, the ancients were in touch with nature in a way that we don't altogether understand now. But I mean, nothing strange about it. There are animal whisperers who can speak to animals in a particular kind of way. So why it's even strange, I don't really understand. In fact, I mean, if you think about intuition, I mean, where is intuition coming from? I mean, it arises from someplace else and comes into the thinking mind's vocabulary area, and the thinking mind then says, oh, I got a good idea. Where's the good idea coming from? As I've often mentioned, we drive a motor car. Well, you can have a conversation with somebody next to you while driving is going on. Who's driving? If you're busy having a conversation. So we obviously have another intelligence operating inside us. And how do we access that intelligence? Not that difficult. I mean, the whole point about meditation, for example, is to get below the thinking mind, because that's the problem. The thinking mind is constantly interpreting, trying to understand. But thinking is only one faculty that human beings have. We can think, but thinking doesn't have intuition itself. Thinking can be colorful, very colorful. It can use imagination. And so then thinking and imagination can create a virtual reality. But the point here is that if you want to start to get into that place where intuition comes from, where telepathy is operating from, where precognition is operating from, where power of healing is operating from. I mean, there's a whole domain that's sitting a little bit deeper than the thinking mind. It's not the thinking. That's not what can be used for this kind of work. It's got to be below the thinking. And to get there, that's what meditation does. Meditation is, the whole point of meditation is to not be defined by your thinking. And in that space below thinking, in that quiet space where thinking is not making a noise, in that quiet space, we can begin to access a part of ourselves that is not limited by the thinking mind. And what is it limited by? Well, we don't really know. I mean, that's the whole point around the studies of consciousness. Well, consciousness, again, is even deeper. So we have thinking, and then we can go deeper into knowing. Knowing is not thinking. Knowing is gut feeling. And then we can go even deeper into consciousness, even to beingness. So there are layers of depth. And as we move down, as it were, or up, whatever names you want to call it, superconscious, as we move away from the vocabulary of the thinking mind and all the stuff that thinking mind does, if we can get past that, or below that, or above that, then we start to access different parts of ourselves. So when we talk about a gut feeling, that's not where thinking is. That's not where thinking is. That's gut feeling. We talk about heart to heart. That's a different space. So we need to begin to be sensitive to the different layers, the different dimensions that we're operating on. And there are layers, and this has been well scientifically validated even, where we can start to tap into different spaces that reach out into the universe differently. So power of prayer, obviously, when somebody prays for somebody at the other end of the world, that's certainly not a thinking operation. That's a different part of yourself. So when a mother talks about a gut feeling about a child, I mean, that's also operating at a different dimension, a different energy field, as it were. So there are fields, like the colors of the rainbow. There's different colors, different levels. And we are a little bit like a rainbow. We have thinking, and that's for thinking. And then we have feeling and knowing and all kinds of other spaces in which we can enter into and learn how to use these different spaces to reach out in a different kind of way. So, I mean, we all have examples of that. When you talk about a good vibe, I met somebody and we had such a good conversation. There was such a good vibe between us. You know what that feels like. It's not the thinking mind that gets into that space. It's a kind of deep feeling. I felt a good vibe with this person. Or I had a gut feeling that this person, I need to be careful of here about this relationship. So we all use these faculties all the time. And yet the moment we give it names like telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, remote viewing, then it becomes scary. Even though these are faculties that all of us are using all the time. And we can become more sensitive, more sensitized to the information that's coming once we begin to understand all the qualities that we have. So the next time you're being with someone, just drop your awareness into your heart. That's a way to access that field. drop your awareness into your abdomen. Get in touch with that field. Recognize that if your awareness goes up into the head, that's where thinking happens. So we all have this ability, this functionalities that we have within us to access and influence the space around us. Become sensitive to that and start to enjoy doing it. Have a good day.